History remembers generals and battles, but the most powerful stories often belong to the forgotten. This is the story of Klaus, a young German soldier in 1945, lost in the chaos as the war ended. With no army, no supplies, and no hope, Klaus's only weapon was his knowledge of the wild. This isn't a tale of battlefield heroics or grand causes. It's about the primal instinct to survive when everything else is gone. Surrounded by enemies and starvation, Klaus endured. His journey is a lesson in resilience. True strength isn't brute force, but adaptability. For Klaus, survival was a quiet daily struggle, small victories against hunger and fear. He had no map or compass, only the wisdom passed down from his ancestors. This forgotten knowledge became his lifeline. Klaus's story is more than history. It's a blueprint for survival. No matter how advanced we become, the skills that keep us alive are rooted in nature. When all else fails, knowledge is your greatest asset. Klaus's experience is a beacon of hope in the darkest times. It reminds us that survival is not about grand gestures, but about using what you know. In the end, it's not the strongest who survive, but the wisest. This is the forgotten soldier's tale. Spring 1945 was a time of endings, not rebirth. Klaus's world was shattered, the German army defeated, cities in ruins, and hope gone. Alone and afraid, he wandered through a landscape scarred by war. Hunger became his fiercest enemy, more relentless than any soldier. The forests and fields, once battlefields, now held the only chance for survival. Nature endured, indifferent to human conflict. Klaus, once a hunter, was now the hunted. His training had prepared him for war, not for this, the loneliness, the hunger, the need to unlearn everything. He was a fugitive in his own land, forced to become a creature of the wild. The world he knew was gone, only survival remained. Klaus had to adapt or perish. In the ruins, he found a flicker of possibility. The end of his world was the beginning of a new struggle. Days blurred into weeks, and hunger gnawed at Klaus's will to live. With rations gone and farmhouses stripped bare, desperation set in. Memories of his grandfather's stories, old wisdom about the forest, became his lifeline. He found stinging nettles, once a painful weed, now a source of food. Boiling the leaves in his helmet, he made a simple soup, his first real meal in days. Next, he turned to acorns beneath the oaks. He leached out their bitterness in a stream, turning them into edible meal. It was slow, laborious, but it kept him alive. Each small discovery, a patch of nettles, a handful of acorns, was a victory. Klaus realized survival was about patience and resourcefulness, not heroics. The forest's hidden pantry became his salvation. He learned to trust the old ways, finding hope in every mouthful. Hunger was relentless, but knowledge was his weapon. Klaus's fight was not against an enemy, but against despair. Every meal was a reminder he could endure. The wild, once a threat, became his ally. Survival was possible, one bite at a time. Klaus saw the forest as a living larder, not just trees. He learned to eat the inner bark of pine trees, boiling it into noodles or frying it into chips. Cattail roots roasted in embers became a starchy meal, a welcome change from acorns and bark. Each edible plant he found added to his mental map of survival. The forest, once empty and frightening, revealed its hidden abundance. Klaus became a forager, not just a fugitive. Every meal was a small victory over despair. Nature provided for those who knew where to look. His grandfather's wisdom was his greatest treasure. Survival meant staying hidden as much as finding food. Klaus's uniform made him a target, so he mastered the art of invisibility. He camouflaged himself with mud and leaves, breaking up his silhouette. He moved slowly, leaving no trace, and created false trails to mislead pursuers. Silence was his ally. He built only tiny, smokeless fires and listened for changes in the forest's sounds. The sudden silence of birds warned him of danger. He learned to freeze, melting into the undergrowth until threats passed. Every movement was calculated, every sound measured. Klaus became a ghost in the woods, unseen and unheard. Invisibility was his shield. In the wild, being unnoticed was as vital as food. The forest became Klaus's fortress. He made camp in dense thickets, used streams to hide his tracks, and slept in short bursts, always alert. His senses sharpened. He could distinguish a boot snap from a falling branch or smell distant smoke. He moved with the rhythm of the wild, no longer just a man hiding, but part of the ecosystem. The forest provided food, water, shelter, and concealment. It was his sanctuary in a world gone mad. Klaus survived by becoming one with the land. After weeks, Klaus emerged from the forest, thin, exhausted, but alive. He survived not with weapons, but with wisdom and adaptability. Old knowledge, acorns, nettles, silence, saved him when nothing else could. Klaus's story is a reminder. The greatest survival tool is knowledge. In any crisis, the ability to adapt outweighs brute force. We've forgotten many of these skills, insulated by modern comforts. Klaus's journey urges us to reconnect with the wild and remember our ancestors' wisdom. Survival is an art, seeing solutions where others see problems. The human spirit, armed with knowledge, can endure the unimaginable. Never stop learning. Wisdom is the key to life itself. Klaus's tale is proof. In the darkest times, knowledge lights the way.